He's sort of the granddaddy of the CE5 movement here with Mike and Lou. And in the first half, we'll maybe have another phone call. I wanted to gripe about something if I could. I know I haven't been on the show for a while, and I like to complain. That's what I do best. I like to complain about stuff, about human behavior. And maybe, Mike, you in your infinite wisdom, you can explain to me why people are crappy the way they are. Not all people, but some people. Some people are still crappy.
They're human.
Yeah, but I'm human. I'm not trying not to be crappy.
Well, not everybody's spiritually involved or evolved or spiritually involved. Some people are still stuck in ego where they get hurt and they want to take it out on other people, and they don't realize the nature of their suffering, and that's what causes the ill in the world.
See, that's the Mike. I missed that, Mike. Don't be afraid to put that right in your face too, by the way.
Right. Bring it you're sounding like Baird now.
I'm just telling you. Or I'll just start the show by saying this. If you don't know me, I'm a stand-up comedian. This weekend I was in Cocoa Beach, Florida. I won't say the name of the club. It's not important. Had 3 shows there, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Good shows. Yes.
Every time I hear Cocoa Beach, I keep on hearing the music.
Stop. You know what's funny about that is 4 blocks from the hotel, there is the I Dream of Jeannie lane.
Yeah.
It literally says I Dream of Jeannie. It has the little logo from the show. And then it just pulls into a parking lot. There's nothing there. I thought like the house was there, or maybe I could see like part of the set, but no, it's just a little.
Barbara Eden has left the building.
Yeah. It's just a roundabout. She got a roundabout named for her, and that's a cul-de-sac. That's what it is. It's the I Dream of Jeannie cul-de-sac. Anyway, so I'm at the club, and it's weird shows, like small audiences, and they're not seated correctly. And when I say that, I mean that most club owners put people to the front and go from front to back to try to fill it up. These people were sporadic, whatever, not a huge deal, but it does change an audience, a group dynamic.
So you went, instead of small and intimate, they went small and dispersed.
Yeah, small and Swiss cheese.
Where the snipers can shoot at you all night long without the spotlight on them.
Ironically, though, all the snipers in Cocoa Beach shoot from the front row. They don't even try to hide. Yeah. They're not on the grassy knoll. They're in the street. They stand right in the middle of the street. Yeah. They're very emboldened is what I'm saying, right? So listen, and in my business, not all comics are need this or want this, but my show is very interactive. I do crowd work. I talk to the audience. I'm okay with that. As long as you're not being belligerent. I just don't want you to be a jerk, right? So, and nobody really was. One mother kind of got out of hand when she was explaining, this is a weird thing. I would say the premise of a joke, and as I was doing the joke, she'd be explaining the premise to her daughter, like how it related in their life. It was really weird. I'm like, I'm going to tell you how it relates in your life if you just let me finish. And every joke, it was very weird. And then finally, when I said that to her, she said, look, I'm trying to talk to my daughter. You do your thing, and I'm going to do my thing. I'm like, ma'am, you're in the front row. We have, our thing is connected. It was very odd. So here's what I was upset about. Last show of the weekend, Saturday night, 3/4 of the way through my set, I'm talking to this guy named, well, I'm not even going to say his name. I got his name. Who knows if it was his real name. And we had been talking back and forth. He was.
It's his I'm near the stage name.
He's there with his date. And then just out of the blue, he goes, hey, Chris, because I guess we had connected at some point. I razzed him a little bit. He razzed me back, whatever. He goes, do your best racial joke. That's what he said. Just shouted that out in the middle of the club. And, me being me, I was like, okay, first of all, I was like, look, it's 2019. Nobody's doing racial jokes anymore. I mean, if you mean stereotype, I guess I could do a stereotype, but why? You know what I mean? Then also, I don't have any racial jokes. I don't really talk about race on stage. I don't really, I'm a white guy. I'm the last guy that people want to hear talking about race on stage, really, at this point in the game. It just struck me as odd that he and his girlfriend was like holding him like, oh, please don't ask. He was insistent when I said that. I was like, dude, I don't have, and here's the thing. I couldn't figure out why he felt it was okay to yell it out without looking around at least and see if there was anybody of a different race. This is a white guy that said that. He just didn't seem to care. He wanted to hear a racial joke. He wanted me to be offensive. It was like I wasn't offensive enough. And I've got it. My set is very angry. I'm very confrontational. There's great energy happening. Not good enough for him. He needed racism. He needed the racism cherry on top. What do you think of that, Mike?
Well, my exposure to really nasty racial humor was on The Biggest Loser.
Really?
Yeah. We used to get around the exercise pit, especially on the bicycles, and Dalvet Quince, who is a very dark African-American guy. He would challenge us to tell your mama's so black jokes.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Did they air those?
No, they didn't. But it was like the most fun we've ever, you could imagine, because when you get rid of race and just start talking about this stuff,
yeah,
it just gets funny, especially when you got somebody, you know, coming out of their own racial background and saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to give you guys the best that I got from my people.
What about the other way? What about if it's not their race?
It's real. That would be kind of inappropriate. But you know, the thing is when you get rid of race, I worked in the shipyard, and race had absolutely nothing to do with our reality there. And we used to call people names, just, you know, because that's what we called them, and they were okay with, not only okay with it. I mean, it was like, John introduced. I say, hey, John. He goes, how do I tell you from the other John? He goes, they call me Black John.
Yeah, but Black John isn't exactly a racial joke.
Well, the other guy was black too, and his name was John. Okay. So I mean,
all right. Yeah. I still don't. I'm not offended by that. I'm not.
Right. Well, the thing is the malice that's involved, and when there's malice involved, it's not funny.
I don't know what his intent was. I don't know why he needed that. Here's the thing. I don't shy away from any subject matter. However, I'm not trying. I think a big misconception. That's why I brought this up for the show. I think a big misconception for a lot of people is that comedians, then when they step on the stage, what their intent is, and across the board, is to offend people. We're not trying to offend anybody.
Yeah,
I really don't. I mean, maybe there may be a few out there, but the majority of us are not trying to offend people.
Yeah, well, Don Rickles used to go for it, but he did it on a personal level and not a racial one.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Don Rickles, because we were talking about Kevin Hart. Was talking with Vaughn before the show, the producer, and Kevin Hart was on Fresh Air with Terry Gross, and Terry Gross brought up some comments that he made, some homophobic comments, and he said when he met Don Rickles, he was at an event. And they said, hey, Don Rickles wants to meet you. He's like, well, geez, you know, it's a comedian's dream. He's an icon, right? So he goes over to meet Don Rickles, and Don Rickles says, oh, you're a cute little monkey. That's what he said to Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
That upset Kevin Hart. I found it interesting that comment upset him, but his comment that he said about somebody, it was weird. He was like, dude, I can see where, yeah. And he was like, he literally said to himself, is he being racist? And he said, man, I got to get out of here before I really get mad. It affected him, even though, I don't know, a lot of other people would have been okay with that. I mean, Don Rickles, you know, comes from a completely different school when, as Vaughn said, it was more acceptable. But I don't know that it was acceptable. I just think people weren't brave enough to say anything about it.
Well, you know, the other thing is people just get thin-skinned about stuff. And, you know, I think part of surviving in this life is not to have such a thin skin and not let things bother you so much. Otherwise you can get bothered about everything. So, you know, and the question is, if you're around people that don't get bothered about stuff too much, it's a whole lot easier to speak your mind and joke around and say stuff. You're around people that get bothered about anything, you're walking on eggshells, and you're kind of thinking about, oh my God, what am I going to say? You know, instead of just being yourself, you know. And
what if yourself is a racist person? What if yourself is that person? Well, then, what if you're a racist?
Well,
should you be able to say that whatever you want because people shouldn't walk on eggshells around you?
No, but I'll give you an example of a racist comment, and I'll say it right on the air. Okay.
We'll make sure FCC. We got to keep.
No,
those.
It's okay. No,
no cursing.
This is an official. Yeah.
It's an official racist.
Yeah, it's an official racist comment. Okay. You know,
who endorses it?
After living with a Latina for almost 4 months.
Yes.
I'd never go back to anything else.
Okay, but that's not racist though. Okay, that's not racist. Here's the thing. I think in this country, people have forgotten what racism means. Racism means when you make a comment about somebody, that puts you in a place of power over that person. Okay, that you feel these other people are beneath you, right? A stereotype is a stereotype, and there are negative stereotypes and there are positive stereotypes, and some stereotypes actually bleed over into that racism area.
Well, you have to look at it more as an issue of ego. Okay. Powerlessness leads to egocentricity, which leads to massive defense mechanisms, and then you can project that out against any racial group. I see it a lot in the Deep South. Or I used to see it, where you know things are a little bit easier, but yeah, the problem is ego. It's not racism. Racism is a manifestation of very ill egos and people with very, very low self-esteem.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but it still leads to racism. And in my point, it's like it's not acceptable. And I think there are clear there are clear definitions of racism, examples of racism that we know when we hear it, we're like, that was racist. That was not a joke off. That was not a little,
joke off.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't that was a racist statement,
right.
Even though it was masked as humorous.
Well, people have to realize that there's only one race, and it's called the human race.
Yes, sir.
And we may have different ethnocentric or different shapes, sizes, and colors of skin. But the bottom line is we use each other's blood and transfusions, and we marry each other's families, and we ended up having children together.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all the human race, and that's part of what we do here at CE5. I mean, we're making contact not as white, black, or Asian. We're making contact as human beings, and it's really kind of funny living in an environment where people are spiritually involved, and following the path of Tao, following, Buddhism, the Christ consciousness, that kind of unity consciousness eliminates all duality and diversiveness.
It definitely does help. If you're just joining us, you're listening to In My Humble Opinion on 1340 Tan Talk. You can call the studio if you'd like, 727-441-3000. 866-826-1340 is the toll-free number. We're talking with Michael Murburg right here. I've been working my 4 agreements. If you don't know what the 4 agreements are, look them up online. There are 5 now, actually, thanks to the sun. But I've bestowed these on other people, and they help. They do help. These things help. And they, you know what? They help take ego out of a lot of stuff. They really do. I don't have to worry about, it's not about me. It's just about, life and living and the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's very similar to, to Buddhism as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Noble Eightfold Path. You live a right view, right resolve of intention, right speech, no lying, no rude speech. Bottom line is get a hold of your ego and just try not to hurt other people.
Yeah, that's a good one. Try not to hurt other people.
Yeah.
If you have alcohol, don't hurt anybody whilst you're on the alcohol.
Well, that's also part of the Buddhist path as well, is that you don't involve yourself in any behaviors that are going to be detrimental to your health or the health of other people.
You would think that would be like common sense.
You would, but we're really coming out of the dark ages in so many ways. 10,000 years ago, it depending on who you're listening to or who you're reading, but we're still living in caves and throughout the world. I mean, our social complex, our social development has and it's accelerated. We're getting a lot better, I think, even though there's some problems. But we are coming from Neanderthal existences that actually talk about ultimate racism. Is like even the Neanderthals managed to blend in.
Yeah. I mean, they still have their tribal units that were separate.
They were
geographically,
but they don't exist anymore because they ended up intermarrying and interbreeding with the other human species.
Yeah, I think there are a few people that are upset about that. I think they're not okay with that. And I still feel like socially there are still some tribes, especially in the United States, but I mean all over Europe and the different countries. You see that tribalism thing is still kind of happening. I think it's an instinctual thing. I think humans want to be in a tribe. They want to feel, but now we've got this, this world village. And for a lot of people, that's hard. It's hard to, like you said, we're all part of the one. A lot of people are like, I don't really want to be part of that. I'd like to be part of just my little group where I'm safe.
Well, I'm not even, that's something to think about.
Yeah.
I don't really like being around people in general. I mean,
I know that feeling.
I go out in the public and it's like, oh my God. I mean,
it's hard.
Yeah.
And you're around a lot of people being in court and just around general.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of slowed down, backed off a little bit. I'm at a point where I'd just rather be doing what I'm doing and not have to be where other people tell me where I have to be.
Yeah, I know. That's the sweet spot right there.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I don't want to go do that.
Right.
Yeah, but we're doing it. Okay. Have fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. People are tough to be around sometimes, not only sometimes, but they're out there and everybody's just, God, there's some people in their own different worlds. So many of them. Everybody has got their own little world and they get wrapped up in it.
Well, that's an interesting statement because that's exactly why I felt about that woman during the show when I said to her, hey, I know, could you not be talking? And she just went, hey, I'm doing my thing and you're doing your thing. And I thought, no, you're doing my thing right now. You're in the middle of my thing. Well, it was really weird.
It's common courtesy. I mean, 40 years ago, people wouldn't do that. I mean, they understood their place and we're kind and courteous, and that was accepted and expected out of people. And
there's still some of those people out there.
You know, let's hope there's a lot more, and let's hope that it's making a resurgence, because being a dick isn't like real fashionable.
You know what though? It's becoming fashionable. You say that, but there's a tone, both politically and socially, that being a dick might be the way to go.
Yeah, well, something. If as a Buddhist and as a Taoist, I would take a look at that and say, hey, have a nice trip back through here again. I'm gonna make sure that I have a nice trip.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion. I'm Chris Gorges. If you're expecting Lou, he's not here. He's doing comedy stuff. Where is he tonight? Did he say?
No, I didn't.
Is it a private thing for old people in the villages?
Oh God, the villages. Did you know that they have the highest VD rate of anywhere in the country?
I don't. I keep hearing that, but I haven't seen the proof. And I asked them, and they looked at me like, "What are you talking about?"
Well,
I don't know.
I got another amazing statistic. Is there's one guy that handles I forget who makes the Viagra, but his only account is the CVS.
Oh my God!
In the villages.
They've got lots of clubs there. They're very active. I know they're very much into their golf carts. I want to believe that they're sexually active, but I have no proof of that.
Oh God, I knew somebody that grew up there and went to law school with my daughter, and she explained to me what all the codes were.
Oh, you got all the village codes?
I got all the village codes. If you see a woman showing up in her silver stilettos or silver sandals, that means she's looking for a man.
Oh, so silver stilettos.
Yeah, or this silver sandals.
Yeah.
So you go into the produce section, just kind of hang around the grapefruit.
Wait for the silver sandals lady.
Silver sandals to come
it used to be red dress, now it's silver sandals.
And then go next door to the CVS.
Get your bag, right? Yeah. Hop in your golf cart and zip on down to the villages. I'm telling you, man, I talk about this on stage. There's two villages. There's like the outside village, which is like villages, suburbia. If you don't know, if you're listening on the internet, in Florida, in the center of the state, there's like a retirement community. It's beautiful homes and lots of activities, and there's a self-sufficient community in there. Oh, yeah. They've got their own stores and gas stations and everything, and it's a gated community. But on the outside skirts, it's suburbia. Then you go through the gates, it's like going through Oz. I'm telling you, you can hear the music, dun, 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 and they're in their carts, and there's little dogs everywhere. It's a weird place.
They got $7,000, $8,000 golf carts too. I mean, you want to see a Mercedes-Benz golf cart? They've got them there.
Those people are pretty nice. I didn't meet a lot of mean people there. Everybody was kind of cool. It's the old people that haven't made it to the villages yet. They're kind of like being dicks.
Or the ones that have moved out,
Yeah. Let's talk about your global initiative. You want to talk about this. You sent me a message before the show, Mike. Mike is involved in the CE movement. He's also right now getting ready to do a lecture, right, for the UFO MegaCon.
That's correct.
Where is that?
It's out in Laughlin, Nevada. It's between between March 23rd and March 29th.
First one, or?
This is actually my first conference. This conference has been around a while. It was resurrected. It was the conference to go to for about 10 years. And then the organizers, one of the main organizers got ill, and then somebody picked up the ball. And the shift is actually away from UFOs and towards contact CE5, which is what we do and what I'll be lecturing on. Well,
I have a question about that. You're into the CE5, which if you don't